Hall of Fame press conference to announce the 2015 inductees into the National High School Hall of Fame. We appreciate all of our, first of all, our 12 inductees who are here, some former inductees who are in our audience, and many of you from state associations and family and friends and guests of some of our inductees, as well as our media. We appreciate your attendance, and also for the second year, this press conference is being streamed on the NFHS network, so we're excited about that. This time I want to introduce Bob Gardner, the Executive Director of the National Federation of State High School Associations, for an opening welcome. Bob?
Thank you, Bruce, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this august event. The late Vince Lombardi said, "We shall chase perfection, and we shall chase it relentlessly, knowing all the while that we can't attain it, but along the way, we may catch excellence." Assembled before you today are people who have caught excellence. We are thrilled to welcome them, to honor them. They have touched many lives in the National Federation family, and we are so pleased to have them with us and you here today. And now let's hear their stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Tomorrow night is the 33rd induction ceremony of the National High School Hall of Fame. Started in 1982, and this Hall of Fame honors former high school athletes, coaches, not former coaches, still coaches, officials, performing arts, and others, administrators. With this year's class of 12, there's 435 people through the first 33 classes of the National High School Hall of Fame. And we're excited about this year's class and to be able to present them to you today. These 12 individuals were selected through a two-level process involving our screening committee and then a final selection committee. And so these are the ones who have survived those two committees, and we're excited about this year's class. So with all of that aside, let's get going. I want to introduce the class first. To my far right, our performing arts candidate this year, an outstanding 39-year career as a speech and debate coach in Washington at two Seattle area schools, Auburn High School, Eastside Catholic High School in Bellevue. He was a state and national leader in speech and debate, and he was also an outstanding football official. Welcome, Mike Burton. Next, the administrator in our class this year retired in 2009 after an outstanding 24-year career as executive director of the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association. A great leader at the national level, 2 terms on our board of directors, instrumental in the formation of our NFHS Foundation. Welcome, Doug Chickering. The official in this year's class is the late Joe Pangrazio Sr. From Ohio, and we're excited to have his grandson here tonight, Nino. Nino's grandfather, Joe, was a football official for 45 years and a basketball official for 55 years in the state of Ohio. And all kind of wonderful accomplishments that he had off the field as well. But we're excited to have Nino with us today. Nino? Next, we have our 5 coaches in this year's class. Our first winner of 19 boys state swimming championships and 16 girls state swimming championships at Albuquerque Academy in New Mexico, and just completed 40 years at the school. Welcome, Dave Barney. Sorry. That's okay. Ron to the rescue.
That's right.
Next, our 46 years football coach at John Curtis Christian School here in the New Orleans area. 26 state championships, second all time with 542 wins. Welcome, J.T. Curtis. Next, we have a volleyball coach at Central Catholic High School in Portland, in Oregon, now in his 40th year. 10 state championships and ranks 8th nationally with almost 1,200 wins. Welcome, Rick Lorenz. Over to the other side here, our next coach, the winningest girls basketball coach in Arizona history. 33 years at Winslow High School, which may sound familiar from an old song, Winslow High School. He won 8 state titles, was in the finals 16 times. Welcome, Don Petranovich. And our final coach, 5th on the active list of high school football coaches in terms of victories with 444. He's won 10 state titles at the Bold School in Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome, Corky Rogers. Next, we have our 4 former high school athletes, and there's a definite flavor of girls basketball in our class this year. One of the top girls basketball players in Georgia history from Greater Atlanta Christian School. Won 3 state titles in 4 years and almost won the 4th. Played 2 years at the University of Tennessee and then won a silver, was on the silver medal winning team in the 76 Olympics. Cindy Brogdon. Next, the top scorer in Tennessee high school girls history in terms of the 5-player game from Collierville High School, about 3,600 points. Averaged 33.6 points a game as a senior. Then she played 4 years at Tennessee and was a 2-time SEC Player of the Year. And then won 2 gold medals, 96 and 2000, Nikki McCrae Pinson. Next to Nikki, one of the top high school wrestlers in history and won 5 state titles. At Phillip High School in South Dakota. Once won 129 matches in a row in high school, and then won 3 NCAA titles at the University of Iowa, and won a bronze at the 2000 Olympics. Welcome, Lincoln McElravy. And our final athlete, by many, I think, considered one of the top Kansas high school female athletes in history. Known for basketball, but pretty phenomenal in track as well. Claflin High School, 46 points a game as a senior, and then won 14 of 16 events in track in 4 years. And then was the all-time leading scorer in NCAA Division I history at what was then Southwest Missouri State, now Missouri State, Jackie Stiles. I think that's pretty outstanding. What do you think? Okay, as we've done in the past, and since it's new individuals every year, I like to repeat it because we get great new responses from people who have been involved in high school sports and activity programs. In advance, I've asked each of our inductees in a short amount of time, I said 60 seconds, but I don't have a stopwatch on them, but to respond to the question of what do you treasure most about your involvement in high school sports or performing arts, if that's the case. And so since I started with Mike, maybe I could start with Jackie.
Pressure. There's numerous things, but when I look back on my experience, probably what made it most special was the people and the relationships, and being part of a team is so special. And a lot of times you don't realize how special until it's over. So I look back and I had amazing teammates and coaches and administrators, you name it, so many people that are the reason I'm up here today. And honestly, I learned so many lifelong experiences from my time in Kansas high school that I was able then to capitalize on the next opportunities that came my way in the second chapter of my career. But I'm just so grateful, and I share this honor with so many people. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and if each of you would pull the mic to you when it's your turn, that would help our sound. Thank you. Lincoln?
Thanks. First of all, thanks for the induction. It's quite an honor. I appreciate that. The tragic thing about my high school career is that it's over 20 years ago. The greatest things about my high school career, really, I would focus on three things. Our program emphasized skill development, fun, and preparedness, or being prepared for the event. Really a great platform, and the small community I grew up in was really behind their athletes and behind all the extracurriculars that the school put out. So just a great environment to grow up in, and tremendous amount of support and tremendous amount of pride even today from the people of South Dakota that are here. It's just South Dakota is a small state population-wise, and really stick close together, so I appreciate that.
I just want to say thanks to the committee for your selection, and obviously I want to congratulate all the inductees. And similar to what Jackie and Lincoln has said, obviously not just the friendships, but for me, I found my passion. I found my love for the game in my high school years, and I really, really appreciate that because I had great teammates and I learned how to work hard. I came from a very good school. I had a coach that was a disciplinarian, not just on the court but in the classroom, but that's where I really, really developed the love for the game, and it allowed me to grow and be able to compete at the highest level. And I'm very fortunate that I found that love in high school, and I carried that over in my careers, at Tennessee, obviously in the WNBA and the Olympics.
I think, Lincoln, I've got you beat. It's been way over 30 years for me. So, but you know what? The game doesn't change. The things that Jackie said, I guess there's two things that really stand out for me, and I didn't realize it at the time when I was in high school because all I want to do is play and have fun. But I didn't realize until as I got older, that the two things that I learned the most from high school sports. Number one is the development of relationships, whether it was, my teammates, the cheerleaders, the coaches, the alumni at the school, all the different relationships that I built that somehow have continued to be a part of my life. And sometimes that's rare. The other thing that I realized that I didn't realize at the time is the life skills that I learned, and things like leadership, being a leader on the court, teamwork, working together, encouraging my teammates, the respect that we developed among each other. And another thing that I think is important is the time management skills. And every one of these life skills that I developed on the high school level, these are things that I use on a daily basis now. And I really, truly believe because of my high school, having the opportunity to play high school sports, that has given me all the different avenues in my life that I've had the opportunity to be a part of. And I've been very fortunate to have wonderful people walk in my life and at the right time to help me be who I am today. And to be sitting here today with all these other wonderful athletes. And again, to the committee, thank you so much. It's just an honor to be here.
Bruce, thank you again. We're all honored to be here. I think any of us that have been in coaching quite a while, it's always going to be about the young people that we coach. That's where we get our strength. When you start out young yourself, you're kind of about the same age, just a little bit older than the people you're coaching. And so your relationship with them is a little bit different. Now, as the years have gone by, You know, I used to could demonstrate I could jump and run and throw, and there's none of that anymore. It's now talking about it. So I think, you know, before they kind of looked at you as one of the athletes himself. Now you're like a grandfather figure to them to a certain extent. But having worked with young men in football that I have, and I can't say men anymore because we have a female kicker right now on our team, so it's young ladies also. So we're moving forward in that end. But I think all of us that have been in coaching, it's about dealing with the young people, helping them grow, and we grow with them. And it's been quite an honor to have been able to do this for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Federation for this great honor. One thing about the honor, it really belongs to the fine young ladies that I was very, very privileged to be around. I have one of those young ladies, believe it or not, that was on my first basketball team, girl-wise, here today, Dr. Anna Battle, sitting down here. And I think Anna will conclude that one of the best things that we had going for us is, number one, we started the program out. The girls did not have a girls program, but we started it out. And the first game that we had, Anna played in, and we played a little school to the east of us with about 100 student population. And they had won 2 state championships before we played them, and we scored the first 2 points of that ball game, and I thought, you know, this is not going to be bad. Well, it ended up 88-4, and we did not have the 88. But anyway, I want to thank all the players that played for me and put up with me as far as dedicating to the game. And I think that the most memorable thing that I have been able to have is I've had a lot of young ladies go on in life and do things that are pretty admirable. You know, like Anna now is the assistant superintendent of a school district in Arizona. I have 4 girls who played for me, have come back to Winslow and are coaching now. That's why I got out, because they know more than I do. So, but anyway, I want to thank the Federation and all the players. This award really belongs to them. Thank you.
Well, as like been mentioned, certainly I'm thankful and treasure the time that I've spent with the fine student athletes that I've coached in volleyball over the last 39 years. But I also treasure and hold dear to my heart the friendships and relationships that I've made with a lot of the parents. And in this day and age, parents are key to survival. And some of those, I still golf with 10 or 12 of the parents that I have been around for the last years. I also treasure my staff. I have over 100 years of experience on my coaching staff, over 39 years. And my longevity in this sport would not be as it is if I didn't have them. I also treasure the camaraderie that has developed between the various coaches that we've competed against, both in Oregon and in Washington. And those are very close friends to me. I think really a key to the sportsmanship is when you play a very competitive match against 2 friends. So I'm very thankful for the Federation to be honored. I'm humbled by this experience, and it's been so far a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you. I certainly want to congratulate all those that have been inducted and those in the past that have formulated such a tradition in this August body. Just as a quick footnote, if I could, Bruce, to Nino and to Mike, I want you to know that through the years, rarely did I disagree with the call. And if I did, it was not much above a loud whisper that we made known the dissent.
I've seen the video.
The truth never. In all honesty, though, I certainly want to thank all those coaches and all those players that have been an integral part of what we have done at John Curtis Christian School. Without those, none of this would be possible, and unfortunately, only one of us get to sit up here, but each one of them was a part of that building block. One of the things that I cherish most about the experience of coaching young people is to watch them grow and develop into productive citizens, into people that make contributions into the community, much as the doctor has as a superintendent that guides young people's lives. We need those role models to step up in our country today and to be the leaders of the future, and they're in our hands. One of the driving themes that I had was formed when I was a freshman in college at the University of Arkansas, and I was driving down the road with a friend, and on the billboard sign in front of the First Baptist Church, the week of the Texas game was this saying: "Physical things are temporal, spiritual things are eternal. Nevertheless, beat Texas." And so what I've tried to do is recognize that the Texases of our lives, the difficult times of our lives are going to come, and we have to learn to compete and work, but we should always keep in mind the spiritual values that guide us for eternity. And so I think as I have dealt with young people through the years, I hope that I've left them with those understandings, that they can overcome the adversities of the world, no matter what puts in their way, but that they should always keep first and foremost their relationship to God and the values that are taught to us. And so I hope that we've been able to do that, and I know that through the years, with the guidance of the coaches, the administrators, the teachers that have affected their lives, that has been done. And my prayer is that that'll continue not only here, but across this country and for years and years to come.
Let me get this over here without dropping spilling my water. Do you sense a theme here? Relationships. That's what coaching, teaching is all about. 20 years ago, when I retired from a 35-year career in the classroom, I got a preview of what it was going to be like if and when I retire from coaching. What I missed most was just the relationships, the associations, the push, the pull, the shove, and the shout, the laughter, my associations of those many, many, many students. And I had some great ones. And so I've encountered, experienced the very same kind of feelings coaching. My best friends today, other than my family, are those swimmers, so many, many, many of them that I've coached over time, and including, by the way, about 7 or 8 years of coaching track and field, hockey, and baseball and football. And I can tell you, JT, that nevertheless, the University of New Mexico, I don't think has ever beaten Texas, to the best of my knowledge. So it's relationships and associations and the memories of those friendships and those people you have coached that I'll miss the most.
On behalf of my grandfather, Joe Pangrazius Sr., I'd like to thank the committee for this prestigious honor. On behalf of my grandfather, I'd also like to congratulate all the inductees. In keeping with the relationship theme, when my grandfather's playing days were done, officiating was a way that allowed him to establish a relationship with the athlete, the players. And I know he really enjoyed the camaraderie, not only with the players that he officiated, but also with the coaches, the administrators, and the whole scene of officiating and high school sports. And when I think of my grandfather and officiating, one thing always comes to mind. He would always say that you can always tell a good official by not being able to remember them when the game was over. And that's the one thing that I always remembered about my grandfather, was the sign of a good official is when you can't remember who they are or who they were after the game. I'm sure he'd be very humbled by this, and on behalf of my grandfather, I thank all of you.
High school sports and activities are so special and so important to all of us. I would join the other members of the class of 2015 and thank the Federation family for having us all here this week. This is indeed a career highlight that is unmatched, and it's a week that I'm not going to forget. You've heard a lot of things about high school sports and what they have meant to the other inductees. I would add one more, and that's simply that high school sports taught me how to dream. As I was participating and I was doing things, I became a fan of other levels of sports and other sports than the ones in which I participated, and I wanted to be just a little bit better so I could be more like those people. So I kept trying harder and harder, and that carried over into a career I had as a coach, as a teacher, and as an administrator. What you do today is not going to be good enough. And through the teaching lessons that you get in interscholastic athletics and the performing arts, it encourages you to keep doing better each day. And I still try to do that. Thank you.
Being the final, I think I'll just kind of dovetail what people said. And I think these people that are to my left have done certainly an excellent job of making teenagers human. And I think that's one of the things that, as a coach, administrator, or an athlete themselves, that they've done an excellent job of. And that's one thing I celebrate. I had a number of great speech people and debaters. Sometimes they were excellent debaters and maybe not necessarily great people. And my job was to make them a good citizen. And I can still remember one of my kids that ended up being a national champion. As a freshman, he was an excellent debater, but he was really a jerk. And, just going ahead and explaining to him why he was not competing was because he was a jerk, not because he lacked the ability. By the time he was a senior, he was a national champion, but he was a very good person. We were debating at Emory University at the Barclay Forum. He was a senior. The person he was debating against, and the finals was late on Sunday night, was a young kid out of Texas who really didn't think he was going to be there with a single coach and themselves. And they hadn't thought that they were going to be there, so they had no hotel room. And they were going to have to stay over Sunday night. Andy was the young guy that came up to me and says, "Mr. Burton, he can stay with me, and his coach can stay with one of our other women coaches." And I was more proud of that than the fact that he was a winner, that he had become a good person. And I think that was the most important thing, the thing I cherish now. This young guy went on and graduated with honors from University of Washington. But then after that, he went into the Job Corps and did some things for them and did some other things and did some service to the country. Then he came back and went to a very poor business school, Harvard, and now works at the State Department. And I think that's, like these people say to my left, enjoyable to see us and seeing those kids grow. Thank you again to the National Federation.